They heard a whisper in the wind. You heard a calling in your spirit. Not everyone understood it. Not everyone could feel it. But deep within your chest something shifted, like the stirring of ancient power waking from centuries of slumber. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't noise. It was a message. And it was for you. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to rise. Even when the world tells you to sit down. Even when the odds are stacked high. Even when life screams, not you. Because when heaven calls your name, hell cannot hold you back. So let the doubters roll their eyes. Let the critics cast their stones. You are not building for their approval. You're preparing for your anointing. The countdown has begun. You've felt it for a while now, that strange pull inside you, like something invisible pressing on your spirit, a weight you can't explain. You've walked through rooms and felt like you didn't belong. You've smiled in conversations where your soul felt absent. You've pursued goals and achievements, yet something still felt incomplete. It's not that you're lost, it's that you're being summoned. This isn't anxiety, this isn't restlessness, it's divine discomfort. It's the echo of a calling that can't be silenced anymore. Really, when God marks you, He doesn't shout at first. He stirs, He disrupts, He makes the things that once satisfied feel hollow. He makes comfort feel like a trap. He disturbs your peace so He can ignite your purpose. And that discomfort, that sense of unease that follows you even in your success, it's sacred. It's holy pressure. It's the fingerprint of your calling. The world may call it overthinking, your friends may call it ambition, but heaven calls it preparation. You weren't born to stay asleep while your generation drowns in confusion and mediocrity. You were born with a fire. And that fire cannot stay caged anymore. This is how God speaks to chosen ones. Not always in lightning bolts or angelic visions, but in the silent ache of knowing there is more. It begins as a whisper, a quiet disruption in your comfort zone, and if you ignore it, life starts feeling off track, even when everything looks right. That's the thing about divine calling. It rarely makes sense at first. You look around and think, why do I feel this way? Why can't I just be content like everyone else? But you're not everyone else. You are the exception. You were never meant to blend in. You were always meant to stand out, not for applause, but for assignment. God doesn't stir the unchosen. He disturbs those He intends to use. And being chosen doesn't mean you're better. It means you're burdened. Burdened to build, burdened to speak, burdened to lead when it would be easier to follow. The discomfort isn't punishment, it's permission. To rise higher, to break cycles, to prepare for something far greater than you imagined. You're not crazy for feeling like this. You're not ungrateful. You're awakening. You're shedding the skin of your past identity because your future requires a stronger version of you. One that walks in obedience, not popularity. One that chases purpose, not comfort. One that hears the voice of God louder than the opinions of men. This inner pull, this spiritual discomfort, is heaven's way of saying, you're not meant to stay here. There is another level, another mission, another mantle waiting on the other side of your obedience. And it won't leave you alone. Because you were never meant for a life that feels good for a moment but empties your soul long term. You were meant to burn with clarity, with boldness, with holy urgency. That's why the peace you once had in mediocrity no longer fits. You've outgrown the shell of your past self. This is the first step of the calling, not lightning, not applause, but discomfort. Don't run from it. Lean in. It's the sound of destiny waking you up. God said, chosen one, prepare. Because your discomfort is not the end. It's the evidence that your beginning is near. You've been waiting for the moment, the breakthrough, the spotlight, the confirmation, that one undeniable sign that it's your time. But God doesn't work on our timing. He works through our transformation. And before the doors open, before the stage is set, before the elevation arrives, there is always one divine instruction. Prepare. Preparation always comes before promotion. It is the invisible groundwork beneath every public victory. It's what separates those who rise quickly and fall faster from those who stand the test of time. Because when God chooses you, He doesn't just call you, He conditions you. You see, when God whispered 25 June, He wasn't handing out a date for decoration. He was marking a destination. And with every destination comes a demand, not for perfection, but for preparation. This is not a season of waiting. This is a season of working in the dark so you can shine in the light. It's easy to desire greatness, but what many forget is that greatness is heavy. It has weight, and if your character can't carry it, it will crush you. So God takes you through the hidden places, through the late nights when no one sees the grind, through the painful lessons disguised as rejection, through the lonely walks of obedience that cost you friendships, comfort, and routine, not to punish you, but to shape you. Because on the day you step into your moment, you will need more than excitement. You will need endurance. You will need discipline, vision, humility, and discernment. And those don't show up overnight. They are forged in the furnace of preparation. This is why some people missed their moment, not because they weren't called, but because they weren't ready. The platform they prayed for required a version of themselves they never built. They kept asking God for elevation, but refused to be developed. They wanted visibility, but didn't want the invisible work of pruning, refining, and maturing. But not you. You understand now. The silence wasn't neglect. The delays weren't denial. The slow pace wasn't punishment. It was divine preparation. Every challenge has been part of your training. Every not yet has been God saying, let me build your foundation stronger. Because when the wind comes, it's not your talent that keeps you standing. It's your preparation. When people question your calling, it's not your popularity that sustains you, it's your roots. And when you feel like quitting, it's not motivation that carries you. It's the strength you built in secret. So don't despise the hidden season. Embrace it. This is your construction zone. This is where you sharpen your voice, fortify your mind, clean your heart, and align your steps. God is not delaying your breakthrough. He's making sure you're strong enough to hold it. What's coming on 25 June isn't small, it's not surface level, it's legacy shifting. That's why the preparation feels so intense. That's why life has felt like pressure. Because diamonds aren't born on soft pillows, they are formed under fire. So rise each day with purpose. Read what feeds your spirit. Train like a soldier. Guard your energy. Fast. Pray. Cut what distracts. Build what matters. Because when the doors open, and they will, you won't have time to get ready. You'll have to be ready. God doesn't call the most popular. He calls the most prepared. The ones who took him seriously when no one was watching. The ones who responded to his whisper with action. The ones who didn't just wait for the date. They became the kind of person the date was waiting for. This is your moment, but only if you've prepared for it. When you're chosen, challenges don't come to break you, they come to build you. And the deeper your calling, the fiercer your battles. Not because God is punishing you, but because he's preparing you. The greater the purpose, the greater the pressure required to shape you into who you must become. Every warrior must be tested. Every leader must be refined. Every chosen one must pass through the fire before they can carry the flame. That's why you've walked through storms that others didn't. It's why the weight has felt unbearable at times. You've asked, why me? And heaven answered with silence, not because you were forgotten, but because you were being forged. See, pain has a way of unlocking purpose. It strips away ego. It exposes what's real. And when everything around you feels like it's falling apart, what's actually happening is this. The false is being torn away so that the unshakable can be revealed. What you thought was a setback was actually sacred strategy. God allows storms not to weaken you but to wake you. You can't carry divine destiny with shallow roots. The storms you've survived weren't distractions. They were depth builders. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every failure, those weren't random events. They were divine chisels, carving strength into your spirit. And while you thought the battle was trying to take you out, it was actually trying to call you up. The test wasn't about the circumstances. It was about what the circumstances would develop inside of you. Patience, wisdom, endurance, spiritual authority. These aren't gifted. They're earned in the trenches of adversity. And make no mistake, heaven watched you when no one else saw. When you chose obedience over compromise. When you stayed faithful even while breaking. When you refused to quit, even when quitting was easier. You see, strength is not always loud. Sometimes it's silent. Stubborn faith that whispers, even now I believe. That's what the storm came to produce. So stop resenting what refined you. Stop wishing away the very process that elevated you. You are standing today not because life was easy, but because you were forged in the fire. You learned how to pray when all you had were tears. You learned how to stand when your legs were shaking. You learned how to fight in silence, to grow in isolation, and to believe when belief felt impossible. And all of it, every painful moment, has not been wasted. God never wastes pain. He transforms it. Every tear you cried watered the soil of your strength. Every unanswered question planted seeds of unshakable faith. And every scar you carry now tells a story. I've been through the fire, but the fire didn't consume me. It prepared me. You're not broken. You're battle tested. And that battle, that resistance, it wasn't evidence of your failure. It was proof of your calling. The enemy doesn't attack what isn't a threat. Hell wouldn't have fought you so hard if heaven hadn't assigned something powerful to your life. The resistance was confirmation, the attack was validation, and the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still believing means you passed the test. Now, it's time to walk with the wisdom that only storms can bring. You no longer need to prove your strength. You've lived it. You no longer have to fear the battle. You've already won once that should have destroyed you. So lift your head, square your shoulders. You are not a victim of the storm. You are its survivor, its student, its graduate. And now, you are ready for what's coming. So many people are waiting for the world to change, for opportunities to appear, for doors to open, for circumstances to finally align. But they miss the truth. Nothing around you truly shifts until something inside you transforms. What God is preparing for you on 25 June isn't just a change of scenery. It's a change of self, because breakthrough doesn't come to the person you've been when it comes to the person you're becoming. And becoming requires shedding. It requires silence, separation and surrender. It requires unlearning who the world told you to be so you can step into who God designed you to be. And that is never easy. Growth never feels like glory at first. It feels like discomfort, confusion and loss. But that's how transformation works. God doesn't elevate the version of you that's addicted to fear, doubt, or procrastination. He calls forth the version that's buried beneath all of it. The bold one, the focused one, the fearless one. That's why this season has been heavy. That's why the weight hasn't lifted yet. Because God isn't just preparing a moment for you. He's preparing you for the moment. The shift requires purification. It demands a mental detox. The mindsets that got you this far won't carry you forward. You can't enter your next season with the language of limitation, the habits of hesitation, or the relationships that drain your spirit. There's a version of you on the other side of discipline that you haven't met yet. A version of you who isn't triggered by the past, who doesn't get distracted by noise, who wakes up with purpose instead of pressure. That version of you is not found by waiting, it's formed by deciding. And that decision starts now. You can't take doubt into destiny. You can't take bitterness into breakthrough. You can't carry the weight of insecurity and expect to walk freely into favor. The shift starts when you start choosing truth over excuses. When you start moving in obedience instead of overthinking everything. When you stop rehearsing your pain and start rebuilding your mindset. God is waiting to pour into a vessel that's ready, not perfect, but positioned. And position requires preparation. It requires you to change what you tolerate, how you speak, how you show up, how you invest your time, and what you allow into your spirit. The shift starts when you get real with yourself. What needs to die in me for the next level to live? Maybe it's fear of failure. Maybe it's the addiction to being liked. Maybe it's laziness dressed up as waiting on the right time. Whatever it is, it cannot come with you. You've been praying for open doors, but some of those doors are locked by your old identity. You must outgrow the you that is addicted to comfort, because elevation doesn't come from wishing, it comes from walking. Even when it's uphill, even when no one is watching. What's coming on 25 June isn't just an opportunity, it's an assignment. And God won't send you into battle wearing civilian clothes. That's why you've been tested. That's why you've been stripped. He's been removing what would sabotage the shift. He's been calling the deeper version of you to the surface. And now you stand at the edge of the change you've been waiting for. Not in your environment, but in your identity. Everything outside will change, once everything inside aligns. The shift begins in you, the moment you decide to be the one who no longer plays small, no longer avoids the mirror, no longer delays the work. Because 25 June isn't waiting on a miracle, it's waiting on you. There comes a moment in every chosen one's life where you realize not everyone can go where you're going. You don't leave people behind because you're better. You leave them behind because the calling is heavier. Because the places God is taking you demand more focus, more clarity, more discipline. You're not just separating from people. You're separating from distractions, dysfunction, and anything that dulls your fire. It's not personal, it's spiritual. Elevation requires separation. When God begins to shift you, He will start to strip you, not to hurt you, but to heal you. Because what's coming on 25 June isn't light, it's legacy. And legacy requires alignment. You cannot carry the weight of your future while dragging the dead weight of your past. And sometimes the hardest part of becoming is letting go of what feels familiar. You'll want to hold on to old friendships, old patterns, old comforts. But God will start to make them uncomfortable. You'll feel the disconnect. You'll sense the shift. And if you ignore it, you'll delay your own growth. Because what used to fit no longer does. The conversations feel empty. The environments feel small. The cycles feel suffocating. That's not a sign you're broken. That's a sign you're outgrowing. God has a way of pruning your life, not to punish but to prepare. When a gardener prunes a tree, it's not because the branches are evil. It's because some branches, if left untouched, will steal life from the fruit-bearing parts. That's what old mindsets and misaligned relationships do. They drain you of the very energy you need to step into destiny. And here's the truth, some of the people you're trying to hold on to are not bad. They're just not built for the battle you're about to enter. They don't carry the same weight. They don't see the vision. They don't respect the mission. And if you let them stay too close, their fear will start to sound like wisdom, and their doubt will start to sound like reason. But you weren't chosen to please people. You were chosen to obey purpose. That means some invitations will go unanswered, some phone calls will go ignored, some environments will be walked away from. Not with bitterness, but with clarity. Because you finally understand, peace is more valuable than popularity. Purpose is more important than proximity. And where God is taking you doesn't require an audience. It requires alignment. You have to become okay with being misunderstood. Okay with people saying, you've changed. Because yes, you have changed. You've been through too much not to. Growth has refined you. Trials have matured you. Purpose has pulled you higher. And if they don't get it, that's not your burden to carry. Chosen ones walk alone before they lead in public. So don't fear the separation, embrace it. It's not rejection, it's redirection. It's not loss, it's liberation. God is not taking people from you. He's making room for who's next. For the right voices, the right alliances, the right mentors. But He can't bring the new until you release the old. This is the cost of being chosen. You will lose comfort, but gain clarity. You will lose popularity, but gain power. You will lose people, but gain purpose. And what's on the other side of this separation is not isolation, it's elevation. It's the you that can stand in fire and not burn. The you that can walk into 25 June with no fear, no dead weight, and no apology. Because you're not just stepping forward, you're stepping free. And that freedom is everything. You've been called, tested, refined, and stretched. You've walked through fire, through silence, through setbacks that could have broken you. But you're still here. And that's not by accident. That's by design. God didn't bring you this far to watch you play small. He didn't pour wisdom, strength, and vision into you just so you could sit on it. He's been preparing you for this moment. And now, He's activating you. This is your commissioning, your release, your rise. You're not being motivated, you're being mobilized. Because the time for hesitation is over. The season for second guessing has expired. This is a divine wake-up call to move, to act, to obey, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unfamiliar, even when it doesn't fully make sense to the world around you. You're not just someone with potential, you are a solution in human form. You carry answers inside of you. answers to problems this generation is facing. And 25 June isn't just about receiving blessings, it's about becoming the blessing. God isn't waiting to give you more. He's waiting for you to activate what you already have. Your voice, your gifts, your courage, your story. These aren't random. They are tools, sacred tools, designed to unlock something greater in the lives of others. You don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to be willing to show up, willing to say yes, willing to step forward when everything in you wants to stay hidden. The world doesn't need another echo. It needs your original sound. That's why this moment matters. That's why the pressure has been so intense. Because what God is unlocking in you isn't small, it's generational, it's legacy. And legacies don't begin when you feel ready. They begin when you decide to be ready. So yes, you may still feel fear. Yes, you may still feel unqualified. But activation doesn't wait for fear to leave. It moves in spite of it. Chosen ones don't need all the details to obey. They just need a word. And God already gave it. Prepare. Now it's time to move. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but faithfully, boldly, relentlessly. You've been trained in silence, and now it's time to roar. You've been hidden long enough. Now it's time to be seen. Not for your own glory, but so others can witness what God can do with someone who simply says, "Use me." You are not who you were, and because of that, you can no longer act like you did. This is not a season of waiting for signs. This is a season of becoming the sign, becoming the shift, becoming the proof that obedience still wins, that discipline still matters, and that faith still moves mountains. God has already chosen you. Heaven has already endorsed you. Now the earth is waiting to see you move. No more playing it safe. No more rehearsing your pain instead of releasing your purpose. No more shrinking to fit rooms you've outgrown. This is your call to activation, a holy commissioning. You're not waiting for a platform. You are the platform. You're not praying for influence. Your life already carries it. You are not begging for approval. God's stamp is already on you. Now you rise. And when 25 June comes, you won't just arrive, you'll ignite. Because this moment was always meant for you.